And we are live. Welcome to the show, Mitch from the band Anytime Soon. What's up, brother?
Johnny Popko, how we doing?
I'm good. You know what? It's funny. Um, you were my last in-person interview way back when. Feels like a million years ago. But it was, I think you were in the studio at the radio station. It was March, maybe like March. I forget what the date was. I think I posted it on March 21st. It was before that. I think right before the world shut down
Yeah,
in
I
March.
actually watched that today because I knew that we had done that. And boy, were we wrong about so many different things.
I tried to get to that today to kind of see where we were back then, but I didn't have enough time. But yeah, I think we were definitely. I don't even know. I think it was still at that point just a we weren't really sure. I don't think the world
No,
shut down
we
yet.
were we were cracking jokes like nothing was gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, we are a little bit off on that one.
boy, were we wrong.
And then in the same podcast, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, album's gonna be out by the summer." Little did we know that I was gonna lose at least 6 months studio time.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. I knew we talked about. I think we were promoting a song called "End of an Era."
Yeah, and that
Um,
was the first single off of this EP that's gonna be out.
yeah, so let's. I mean, we're here to talk about the new EP coming out May 14th, which is this Friday. Uh, and that song will be on this EP with a handful of other ones. But yeah, I keep saying in every episode of these that I do, um, I don't want to keep talking about it, but obviously there has been a year of a struggle, um, hopefully a year of growth. But how has Mitch been since we last spoke in March of 2020?
I've been holding up. I think it was one of those things. I mean, just with music that became absent, and the recording process came to a halt for a while. So I don't know. It was one of those things where rather than dwell on how shitty it was, and we could still all agree that it is shitty, but just took the time to work on different hobbies. And I think we were briefly going into how I was doing some home renovations, and that got expedited tenfold. I couldn't have accomplished nearly as much without the free time.
That's I think that's common with everybody. Like they kind of started lifting the rug, so to speak,
Yeah,
saying, "Oh,
there's no
this is
better time. I
what
never
else are
had
you
as
gonna do?"
many free weekends off in my life.
Yeah, and thank God, back then, prices of renovations weren't where they are today.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of things I'm holding off on now just for lumber because I refuse to pay the prices.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I I'm concerned that that becomes the new price. Does it ever come back down? Is the question I have.
I
Oh,
sure hope so.
I don't know. Like I can't imagine being a construction worker. And I had a guy that he did a bid on jobs that he wasn't able to get to until like coming up this in the next couple of months. But he was saying that he gave a quote based on prices that don't exist anymore. So
Yeah,
must be a headache.
I hear like a lot of people building now. The quotes that they're getting are about 30% inflated just by cost of materials.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Can't imagine. We're
But
gonna see.
yeah, a
We're gonna.
lot, a lot of, a lot of that stuff this year.
Yeah, we're gonna see some long term effects from this pandemic for sure. Uh, for a while, I think. But let's talk about the positives.
Positives.
We a year ago we talked about some new music. I know you released "End of an Era." I know you also put out a song and I believe a video for a song called "Jelly Donut Season."
That's correct. Yeah,
Both those songs on the new EP, but you've also got a couple other ones.
three new ones, and it's
Three
kind
new
of fun.
ones.
It's kind of funny how that worked out because end of an era and Jelly Donut season, the CP was kind of split into two different recording sessions. We have the pre-COVID and then the post-COVID because I've been recording with Matt Jenkins and the Magwas. real good friends with him for a long time. And kind of similar to a lot of different studios around here, like I couldn't be mad that, they didn't want a lot of people around. It was a very unsure time, but kind of revamped the production after that because the schedule was ruined. So we tried a lot of different things. From a musical point of view, like I was we're miking like real amps, which is something, most people use profiles, but and even with Matt, he was uh trying out a lot of different techniques. I mean, we had the free time, so but that's where the other three songs came from too.
I feel like you should have had like I know that the first song, which I believe is titled Electric City Shuffle.
Shuffle, yes.
It's like a minute, right?
Yeah, it's like an intro track.
And it threw me for a loop. I'm like, what are these guys doing? Right? Not in a bad way by any means, but I feel like you should have maybe had two of those, like one for like the pre-COVID, and then one like introducing the post-COVID songs.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, that was a sound that I was not expecting to hear from you. Like I said, it's only a minute long, but that whole minute
Yeah,
was like, what is going on here?
it
I mean,
it ties together towards the end, but I mean, that kind of I've always wanted to do something like that. It reminded me of something like a lot of those intro tracks, like maybe 4 Years Strong or 303.
mhm.
Attila did like a lot of those like introductory tracks, and I had never done one. And I kind of also, and this is a big leap, but in the event that live shows ever happen, it'd be an introductory song to get into a set.
Oh, cool. Yeah, where you guys would walk out to.
Yeah, yeah,
That's cool.
we'll
That's
see.
clever. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And then the last song, "Dead as a Doornail," I think is probably the hardest song I've ever heard you guys put together.
Yeah, that was another different one too. I had plans to do something a tinge heavier, and I think the last album, Pandora Songs EP, where we're really focused on like, everything's got to be the same or everything's got to be in the same tuning. And I probably went a little bit in that direction for this album too. But like I said, like, after COVID, we're really exploring and trying a lot of different things. And I wanted a little bit heavier song. So I tried it. That's actually in drop B tuning, but it was you know, you heard it. It was heavier. I pulled a lot of inspiration from like maybe like Breaking Ben and like Seether or Deftones for like the heavy alternative, but then maybe some of the metalcore stuff, like maybe of Mice and Men or like maybe Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Okay.
And then was fortunate enough to pull TJ Bell on board to do some of the guest vocals because I am not a screamer, but I believe they have a place in a lot of my music.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love personally when bands kind of experiment.
Yeah,
I feel like you might be a fan of the band A Day to Remember,
indeed. Yeah,
who got roasted online
we were
for their.
talking about this. I
We
had
were,
asked you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I love it.
The thing I don't and this is why I asked you because I knew that you would be straight with me, and everyone's flaming them, and I'll probably get flamed for defending them, but I didn't think it was that bad because if you got to take it at face value, like I enjoyed a lot of songs on there.
Yeah, and I keep saying, like, I mean, who are we to tell bands who are, and you can speak to this. I mean, who are creative people to say, oh, you must do this all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, and
You
like
know,
it's okay for some bands, like if you talk about Bring Me the Horizon, like their first album, Count Your Blessings, is one of my favorite. But as deathcore, it is absolutely nothing like what's on the radio now. But people love it, love the new stuff, and I don't know. It's like some bands are allowed to do that, and other ones get crucified for it.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's
But it's tough to compare people too, because like, how are you going to hold someone that's like 20 years old? Then when they're 35, you're going to hold them to the same standard of musicianship and like just the same. You think the art would be like exactly the same? No, of course not.
Yeah, I mean, you're different people. I mean, you're probably writing about different things. I mean, you're in a much different place in your life that, maybe you have, you're married at that point and have kids, and it's just a different world.
Yeah,
And I kind of think you alluded to a little bit about that with End of an Era, where um, I think we said in the last interview, like, the whole kind of party phase and that kind of lifestyle was, kind of in the rearview mirror, so to speak.
yeah, it was very transitionary.
But I mean, that's what happens. We grow up. I mean,
Happens to the best of us.
as much as we don't want to. I mean, yeah, I wish I was 21 again with no responsibilities and, uh, man, making the $8 an hour.
Yeah,
Those are the days.
I remember in college, uh, I was living at home. I went to Penn State Worthington. I commuted, but like just getting a summer job or a part-time job. I mean, that was all cheddar. Like
Yeah,
I don't have to worry about paying the bills. I mean, I got small stuff, keep gas in the car, but yeah, it's fool around, booze.
yeah. I didn't have a car payment. My parents,
Yeah,
thankfully, they gave me a car. They said, "We'll give you the car, but you have to take care of the insurance and the gas and all that kind of stuff." But I mean, at that point in my life, the car wasn't worth that much, so I, had minimal coverage, and so I was living at home for the first 2 years of college. Life was good, man.
yeah, lift it up for sure.
So, where are you at in your life today? I mean, like, um, I don't know how old you are. I mean, like
I'm 27.
27. So you're still a very young man.
I'll take
Very,
it.
very
So
young man.
I don't feel like that all the time, but I'll take it.
Are you an old soul?
Eh, really not for me to say.
But the partying's behind you.
Uh, a little bit, and I think especially because of COVID,
Yeah.
that ruined a lot of good partying time that I'm not going to get back. But yeah, I mean, it was a quiet year and a half, and actually, I went to a bar the other night, and I was just picking up pizza for me and some friends, and the one bartender's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while." It's like, yeah, all I do is work now.
Yeah. You're
Not a whole
grown
lot
up.
going on. Yeah,
You're grown up. All you do is work. That's no
and
fun.
even with like the whole COVID thing, like kind of one of the ways that I socialized was being out playing shows. And even if I wasn't playing a show, I would go out to my friends' shows and do that. And when that went away, it's like that was my gig.
Yeah. So, I mean, I talked to a lot of musicians as part of this podcast. And, one thing that, had me worried was the, mental health, not only of, the regular guy who does 9 to 5 and maybe he lost his job or maybe his wife lost a job and going through that, but musicians, they have writing music obviously you can still do, but I think an important part of being a musician is playing out to a live audience. um and like we said, I mean, that didn't exist. It hasn't existed. I mean, things are finally starting to kind of open up, and I think there's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. But I mean, how is that on your mental health for the past year? Not being able to socialize with your friends and see your friends perform, and you yourself perform.
Oh, it was certainly rough, and I feel like I could say this because it's for a lot of other people too. But I think it's another one of those things where I was talking about just making the best of it, seriously taking better care of myself. There's a couple years maybe when I got like kicked off my parents' insurance, health insurance, before I got like my own at work. It's like, well, maybe it's time to go see, get a checkup and maybe do some of that stuff. And it was a good time for it. And one big thing for me is all the gyms closed, and my younger brother who plays football in high school, we were able to piece together a bunch of used gear that we found in my parents' basement, like a bench and just some free weights and stuff. And kind of just like working out in my garage, like, like street style.
Like prison style.
Yeah, no, swear to God, Johnny. I actually, in the beginning of the pandemic when the gyms were closed, I was a big fan of this guy named Collie Muscle. and he did like a lot of prison routine workouts and stuff. And I actually tweeted at him. I'm like, yeah, I've been watching these videos because I'm stuck at home and like I didn't want to quit going to the gym. And he's like, yeah, that's gonna come in handy. But just like calisthenics and body weight exercises and stuff. Keep limber.
So you got jacked over the past year.
Maintained.
Okay. All right, that's better than what I did. Man. I part of me thinks I stopped I drank less, and then there's other parts of me that thinks maybe I increased my drinking. Uh in that, between March and December of last year, outside of October because I did sober October.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was just a weird time. You're in your home and you're unsure of what's going to happen, and like, my job was, I was in sales, so like, my income was drastically affected by the whole shutdown of many sectors of the business world. And oh man, and then I was home with my son, which was like a blessing. I mean, I never would have got that much time with him, and he's a mama's boy, so like, uh to be able to get that much time with him, I think was good for us because my wife would be uh heading to work every other day. She was home
Mhm.
the others, but I was, full-time stay-at-home dad and trying to get work done too, and that
Yeah.
was a challenge for sure. But
At the
um
same time, though, I'm sure it was a good opportunity too, because you wouldn't have been able to do that.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we created a bond, I guess you could say, one that we didn't have prior to that, because like I said, he was, or he still is, a mama's boy. uh he'll let me give him a bath these days, which is good. But yeah, it was just just a weird time. Just,
Yeah.
I think I drank. My consumption was more. It was less per session, I guess you could say. It was just more days per week.
Yeah, it was like a weird thing, and I really haven't been drinking at all. But at the beginning, it was more out of like, well, this could be kind of serious. Like, I'm not supposed to be out gathering with other people, and I live by myself now. So what am I gonna do? Like, take down a sixer every night just to pretend like this is normal? No,
Yeah,
like it's kind of sad when you think about it like that. But
yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah,
maybe if I had roommates or something, or
yeah, you're
but
hanging out. Yeah, sure.
but yeah,
But well, I'm glad you got through it, healthy, and you know
yeah,
prison workouts, getting jacked.
yeah,
I I wish I would have
keeping
done
at it.
that. I wish I would have done something. Um, especially during sober October, because like I said, I went 31 days, no booze, but I didn't do any kind of like, uh, you know, working out. And I feel like I wasted 30 days, and I feel like I wasted, a year of time that I could have been doing that. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I won't beat yourself up.
Yeah, I'm okay.
It
I can,
was cool though with my younger brother too, because like even going to the gym now, it's tough to like motivate myself to go by myself. But he had to do it, and I had the facilities, so it kind of just worked out.
that's cool. And I mean, are you close with your brother?
I think we're closer now. I mean, my youngest brother, we're like 11 years apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, big gap. And it was one of those things where like when he was growing up, like I wasn't even in the house. So like didn't know him as well as my other siblings that were closer in age.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm not that far. My middle brother is 5.5 years younger than me,
Mhm.
and then my youngest brother is 9 years younger than me. So, like what you're saying, I mean, when I was 16, they were what? I can't do maths, whatever the hell that is. Like, 9 or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't do quick math, but yeah, they were kids. Like I'm. My brother still to this day will give me like shit about, you wouldn't drive me to school. And I'm like, dude, like I was 16 years old. I'm trying to figure out who I am and maybe try and get like, make out with a girl in the backseat of my car or something. Like, give me a
Yeah,
break. Like,
it's more priority at the time.
if I can go back in time, I would take you to school. I would give you a ride to school. But you know, I'm
Yeah.
16. Like I have other things on my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate, and we're still not as close as I would like to be. I mean, myself and my youngest brother are closer now, especially because he's married and has a little daughter. Um, so we kind of relate more on that level, which is cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that I I wish we were closer in age. But I'm glad you were able to kind of connect with your youngest. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But well, not to get off the music, but I do like to kind of have these.
No, that's cool. It's fun meandering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what this is for. I started this because we could do the radio stuff, but it's like a it's a quick 3 minute interview. It's talk about the album and talk about this. And okay, you're done. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
I
Send
get
you on your way.
yeah, I get to talk to you about life.
Yeah.
But we're due out on May 14th, which is this Friday.
Yes.
Um,
I don't know when you plan on releasing this podcast either, but
I'm hoping either Thursday before or the day of.
okay. All right, cool,
I'm
cool.
gonna put a push on it. But if you said you worked with Matt Jenks or Jenkins or whatever he goes by these days.
Yes. Yeah.
I
I
think
think we're going with Matt Jenks.
Jenks. Okay, well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then also the art. You had a familiar name. I believe it was Chris Ventura.
Chris Ventura, yeah.
Ventura.
And I've really been putting him through the ringer on this album. He's taking care of everything.
Yeah.
I am printing physical CDs too because
What?
I know that's a little old
No, I like it.
fashioned,
I
but
like it.
you'll get one. But
Awesome.
yeah, he took care of everything for that. And actually for Dead as a Doornail, we're doing a lyric video for that
Oh,
in
awesome.
support, and that'll be out I think this week.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, he's taking care of me, and it's great because I've told you before he was in a band called Terror on the Screen, which I remember when I was in high school. Like they're the hot pop punk band, and I still listen to their EP. It's great.
Yeah. And one thing I like that you did, and you've been posting on your social media channels, that instead of spamming people, you paid others to kind of promote your album for you.
Yes.
And
So
we had members of Newfound Glory, Silverstein, Sum 41 helping
mhm.
you promote your album. So I mean that's a cool concept. That was when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that's really clever. So how did you kind of think of that idea and talk about that process?
All right. So as well as I do, it's very challenging to get like any kind of organic really breakthrough. Facebook, Instagram, they all want money.
Yeah.
And it's gotten like good enough at like running ads and stuff, but a lot of times it's hit or miss. I mean, like, you could be throwing 20s at something and it's going nowhere. Like 6 people like it. Or, you post something really stupid and for, the same amount of money, it gets like hundreds of likes. But then you're always questioning like, are these real people? Like, are they going to listen to anything? Or are they just like randomly generated Facebook likes? And I don't know, you could argue both sides of the fence. And there's a lot more in-depth analytics that I'm probably willing to do with a lot of my marketed ads. But I messed around with that Cameo app before, and a lot of it's just like, oh, like, I'm gonna send my aunt like a happy birthday video from like some actor from the 80s. But there's actually like a lot of cool people on there, and a lot of them were like musicians in like the alternative scene. And I'm like, I wonder what my chances are if they basically run an ad for me for a set price. And I got a couple good ones, and for the most part, they're really cool. And I had other requests out to people that would a lot of times they'd decline them right off the bat if they're not into that. But some of them also expired, so if you don't get around to doing it, like they pretty much reimburse you your money after a couple days or a week or whatever. But no, I thought it was I've never seen anyone do it before, and I thought it was interesting. And just like anyone else, you see like beer companies, they'll get like someone important to run their ads. It's like, oh, why can't I do the same thing?
Right. And how has that been received so far?
I think it's been pretty good. I kind of hoped for a little bit more, but I'm so happy because I know a lot of other bands, like how much money they just pump into strictly Facebook ads and not being as productive.
It's funny you said that, your request could expire. And it's like, that's interesting. I wish I wish that I like was at the point in my life where like I could just be like, yeah, you know what? I don't need that money. I'm gonna just let this go.
And some of these people are like demand like a lot of money. Like Gary Busey's on there. He's like 350 a pop. But like
Really?
I don't think I paid more than like $50 per person, which is pretty on par with a lot of these ads. And I tried being very transparent about that too. Like I was never like, oh, this is my best friend, Ian Grushka from Newfound Glory, and he likes me so much that he did this out of the kindness of his heart. No, I felt like I was pretty transparent with it. I even tagged the Cameo app in there.
Yeah.
But it was just something that I thought was creative. I've never seen it before, and I thought it would get a response, and it did.
Now, do they also share it on their channels, or is that just up to you?
That's just up to me. I guess they could throw me a bone if they're nice, but everyone that I worked with was like really cool about it. Like Dave Brownson from Some 41. Like there's a I think like I probably only post like 30 seconds of it, but like the whole beginning of that video was him saying how he went on our Spotify and listened to End of an Era and he liked it and he had many nice things to say, which is way above and beyond what they're, being paid to do.
Right.
And then even I DM'd them after they did that just on their Instagrams and stuff. And like Ian Grushka got back to me and he's like, good luck with the release. And Shane told, he said, yeah, let me know the next time something big's going on because he also has a podcast called Lead Singer Syndrome. But they're all really cool about it. And I feel like that's another thing too that's been really cool about all this downtime where all these musicians that I look up to, like they're not touring and they have a lot of time on their hands and they've been like, very accessible, which has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been cool, like seeing a lot of live streams of artists that you'd have to go to a show to see. Which I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, nothing will replace that in person, experience. But it's definitely been neat to see some of your favorite artists, performing and kind of like you're saying, kind of as real people and stripped down and kind of
Yeah, like I don't want to say humbled, but like, they're more accessible.
yeah. And it kind of humanizes them too. It's like, okay, this is a real person. They're going through the same thing I am. Maybe not the exact same, but I mean, they're not
Yeah.
traveling the world where we're sitting home, locked up. Like they're also, in their homes kind of quarantine as well, just because that's what everyone was doing.
Yeah. And that's a lot of the ways that I started working with TJ Bell too, how he did that feature on Dead as a Doornail, because he was someone that I had looked up to for a while because he was one of the original members of Motionless in White. I've been seeing since like middle school, and then he left them to play and Escape the Fate, which was another one of my favorite bands for a long time. And I knew it was from Pittston, and he had been grounded here for a while, and we had been talking on like Instagram and stuff. And never in a million years would have thought that he'd come and be excited to come do a feature on a song that I had written.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, and even it's funny, he'd be sitting there talking about because the last Escape the Fate record was produced by John Feldman, so he's just throwing out names about the recording process being with Feldman, and it's like, oh, and Travis Barker's there, and it's just like I'm sitting there like shrugging my shoulders, yeah, like yeah, I know those people.
If you could work with anybody, on a song or an album, whatever you want to call it, who would that be?
Are we talking ones that I could realistically think that I'm going to do, or
Yeah.
just like total home run? Just
Well, Mitch, you got to understand that this podcast is listened to by millions of people. And if you throw it out into the
they're all
universe, they're going to hear
they'll just
this
have
and they're
it.
going to call you up and say, hey, man, we heard you on the Popko Project and we heard that you want to work with us. Let's do it. I
I'm
wish I
gonna
had that power. I really do.
I'm gonna throw out two. One would be Brana Collins from Tiger's Jaw.
Okay.
That's something serious that I like to do because we played a show with them a couple years ago at Carl Hall, and good people. I still talk to uh, their singer Walsh on occasion,
Hmm.
just on Instagram and stuff. Like I'll send and be like, hey, like I came out with a new song. Like it'd be awesome if you listen to it. But yeah, I think that'd be really cool, especially because she's a pianist too.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm sure that would be a nice layer to something that I could write. And my second one, I'd love to work with Soupy from the Wonder Years,
Okay.
just because Philly band,
Yeah.
and they're another one that I've listened to for a very long time.
Have you listened to the like the side project?
Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties.
Yes.
Yes.
Love that. Love that. I wasn't I felt like their first record was phenomenal. And their follow up was okay, but yeah, I love everything they do.
No, I just like seeing people like that because I can relate as a musician, and just like every piece of art and everything that you write, it might not always fit your narrative for your band or whatever, but at the end of the day, like it could still be very good, and I'm glad that he did that because it's a very different feel. But it's cool hearing that it's like from a different angle or different perspective of him.
Yeah.
And he was actually doing a bunch of living room shows a couple years ago, and I tried really hard to get him to come to Einen.
Didn't work.
Didn't work, but
Ah,
he did do that. He's like, yeah, like super small. I just want to try some like demos, and I want to play in like people's living rooms. And I'm like, that would be that would be something.
yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, they're one of those bands too that I kind of watched them grow up because I never intended to go like to see one of their shows, but it just so happened like they're always opening for a band that I had gone to see. And after like the third or fourth time, and it's like, oh, I remember these guys. Like they put on a really energetic show.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw them at the Sherman Theater 2016, I want to say.
Yeah, I was at that one.
Oh, cool.
I had to leave promptly.
Was it past curfew or what?
Uh, so this one girl that I was with, and this is like 4 songs into the set. This one girl that I was with decided to go crowd surfing, and they dropped her,
Oh,
and she smacked her head off the ground. And security, I had no idea what was going on. I was just watching the show. Security comes and taps me on the back, and they're like, "Sir, are you with this woman?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, she just split her head open, like she's got to go to the hospital. So now here's me scrambling around East Stroudsburg, like running up to get my car, driving back there to pick her up, find a hospital. I missed that whole show.
oh man. Well, that was nice of you to take care of her.
Yeah, it's a
So
good
I,
story. It's a good story at least.
yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I knew somebody, and I knew what kind of show that would be. I've seen like on the internet, and like I'd be fine in the crowd, but like my wife was with me. I didn't want to like deal with like people pushing and shoving and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
And I'm old, right?
yeah,
I'm past the the age of where you start the circle and the pit and all that kind of shit.
yeah, yeah,
So I was because I knew it was going to happen, and you just proved my point that someone's crowd surfing and smashing their skull.
yeah. And I'm kind of the same with you, especially being on the other side, like playing and stuff. Like I'll go to see shows, and if it's getting a little rough, I'll try and go to the sides because like the way I think about it, like you got these like 15, 16-year-old kids, and they're moshing and whatever. They're having a good time. And hey, I was there too. They don't have to get up at 6 o'clock to go to work tomorrow morning, and they're going to recover way quicker than I can.
Yep. I think I got in a mosh pit one time. It was my first and last time. It was a spit can show at
Nice.
Nightcaps, uh, probably 2006 or 7. I was in my mid-20s, way too old to be doing that shit. And
Yeah.
I woke up the next day feeling every single, fall on the floor.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
You feel it. I watched that podcast she did with the guy from Spokane.
Oh, Nick?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude.
What one other thing that I really appreciate about your podcast too is like somehow in every one of your podcasts there's a Polly Panacea story. And I'm thinking in my head, and I'm like, are they talking about the same old guy that hangs out at my house?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah. He just messaged me like it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. He's like, "Yo, when we doing this podcast? I got the Jaeger on ice." Yeah, a lot of
What?
the weekender ones.
Yeah.
He was definitely part of the family. I think he was man of the year one year, and he was part of many late nights. And I want to have him on as part of that, just because like he was like a what do you call it? Just an outsider, but
He, he, he's an icon.
he was in it. Yeah, I mean he's the one of those the man, the myth, the legend,
Yeah.
Paul
I
Young.
I would play with him with the latest iteration of Graces, but
Hmm.
even just fucking around my house, like probably like once a week, I'll have a couple musicians, like a lot of the Boastfuls guys, and we'll practice or just go over gear. And yeah, Polly's over here all the time.
Yeah, it's cool to hear, the younger generation of musicians kind of looking up to those guys and learning from them. And
Yeah,
it was definitely a different scene back
yeah,
then than from what it is now, and it's definitely different different music, and
yeah,
it's a different time for sure. So it's really neat to and I've heard that be told about Polly before. That's cool.
yeah. No, I kind of like that when you do the weekender episodes too, because I was at an age where I was like conscious of all this going on, but like I at the same time, like I wasn't old enough to drink, and I was just maybe been able to drive. But like you're talking about a lot of the old venues like the Hardware Bar, like Eleanor Rigby's and stuff. Like I would see shows there, but it was very short lived. It was just at the tail end, but it's cool because like I was old enough to experience a lot of that, and, and it's cool working with people like Paul and Ken too, because like yeah, they are from like the previous generation, but there's stuff to be learned still.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those things like, the generation before me had a ton of venues, and, their their stories about parties, far exceed mine. And then like I feel like, mine probably exceed yours, and the amount of venues that I had to go to were probably more than what you had access to. It's weird how every year and every generation it kind of like dwindles, so to speak. And I feel like in the past like 3 or 4 years, like live music, and you had places like Stage West and the V
Hmm.
Spot, and you had the Keys when it was open, and we were kind of getting back to a level of like places for bands to play out, and that live scene was kind of flourishing.
Yeah,
And I hope that it can kind of come back with a vengeance. Once we kind of get through this, because I feel like we were at this like level where it was we broke through, or we were just about to break through.
yeah,
Um, but I guess we'll see.
yeah. I mean, I think with a lot of the downfalls of this pandemic, there's also bring rise to a lot of new shit too, because the Keys is gone, but Josh is doing this thing with Noir, which is I was there a couple weeks ago, and everything he's got his hands in is interesting to say the least.
Yep.
But then a lot of those guys over at the Keystone stage starting that up. I mean, that's new. So with a lot of the things closing, as shitty as it is, I mean, there is new things coming around.
Yeah.
Or even like, levels just closed for like the umpteenth time. So I'm sure something will come out of that too.
Let's hope. I mean, I can't imagine it not being a venue of some kind. It
Yeah,
broke my heart
hopefully
to
they like music.
yeah, well, it broke my heart. I think Hardware Bar is the one that removed the stage at one point, I think.
I'm not sure.
I
I saw
forget.
one show there when it was Tinks, where the bands were like up front near the window,
Yeah.
and that was I think in like 2008 or something. I saw the Used there. They're supposed
Okay.
to play at the Cultural Center, but they had like some kind of reciprocal agreement where like if the ticket sales didn't meet a certain expectation, they move it there.
Right.
But, like, you know, that was cool. And then I saw some of the bands on parade day when they'd be like up on the top floor and stuff, or
Yep.
most recently when Cold and University Drive were there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like I think it could have been managed better, but I mean at least it was seeing some usage.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool places. Nightcaps was a great place. It was
I remember hearing about it. I never got the opportunity.
yeah, I want to say it closed. Hmm. I don't remember actually. I mean, maybe 2010 or 11 maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah,
But it was a cool spot. Saw Panacea there quite a few times. I saw Go Go Gadget there when they were just playing, places like Murray's
yeah,
and Nightcaps before they were like, playing Thon events at Penn State main campus and,
yeah.
doing the shore shows every summer and to massive crowds. And
Hmm.
yeah, it was a lot of cool places. And like I said, even before me, there was, different places. There was the new staircase and there's the old staircase I never got a chance to experience. There was like
Yeah,
the station, all these places I never got a chance to really check out.
yeah. I
But
watched the one. It's an early Breaking Ben show at the staircase. Like I've seen that on occasion. But yeah, just a lot of it's a shame to see a lot of these places go. Heil's place is another one.
yeah, I mean that's torn down,
Yeah,
gone. That there's not even a chance that becomes something else.
yeah.
Gone. But
I
yeah,
saw one show there, and it was like one of those. It was like on a Sunday, and it was a benefit. So like they'd let me in the bar. But this one band my neighbor was in called the Black Orchid played,
oh yeah,
and I'm like 95% sure that that's the first time I met Mark Yanish too,
okay.
because I couldn't be for certain, but there's this skinny kid with dreadlocks talking to me for like the longest time about playing guitar. So, and Grace was there, so you put two and two together.
Had to have been him.
Yeah,
Had to have been. But well, hey man, I don't want to take up your entire night. We could probably sit here and talk about music and the scene for the rest of the evening. But
no doubt.
thanks so much for taking the time to talk about your new EP coming out. Again, it's Friday, May 14th, and it's available everywhere. Like literally, I think I saw the list on your Facebook page. It's like literally, Spotify, Amazon, Google,
Flat rate for everything. Just put it on everything.
yeah, Tidal, everything. It
Yeah.
was
Whatever you got will be on. If you're cheap, it'll be on YouTube.
yeah, yep. So, anything else you want to say about the new EP
Well,
before we wrap it
I
up?
think we pretty much covered it. Just stay tuned for all the extras, lyric videos, I'll have more merch out. So
And any shows lined up that they have coming up, or you're still kind of waiting to see what happens?
nothing really full bands. Me and Jordan have been doing like the acoustic thing like once a month at like T's and the V spot because they're, some of the only places offering anything at all. And I played at that Keystone stage, but
Right.
yeah, that's pretty much been it for a
Gotcha.
while now.
Well, best of luck with the new EP. I think it's great. Thanks for sending it to me early. I feel
No
special.
problem. You are special.
Oh, I'm special. That's what my mom told me. But yeah, best of luck with it. And I kind of is almost like my send off is I always say, hopefully I will see you sooner than later.
I'm hoping that too.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much.
All right, I'll see you, man.
All right, see you.